Hey everybody, what's good? What's happening? It's your boy JayThat'sMe. Let's dive into NXT for May the 2nd, 2023. This was an okay show. Nothing too major happened. They're just still trying to get everything set up for NXT Battleground, and they'll probably start doing that next week. But overall, this was an okay show for the most part. And there were really a lot of short matches. A lot. Like, some of these matches didn't even go 10 minutes. Some of these matches went like 5 to 7 minutes. And it's crazy, too. It's absolutely crazy. I was shocked. I think the longest match of the night was JD Mcdonagh versus Dragon Lee. That was the longest match of the night. Everything else was relatively short. So we kicked the show off with a video package hyping up the NXT talent who got drafted to the main roster. First match of the night, Drew Gulak versus Wesley for the NXT North American Championship. Wesley retains, so that's okay. He wins via the cardiac kick for the 1-2-3, and both Tyler Bate and Charlie Dempsey got involved. I thought post-match there was going to be an attack, and Tyler was going to turn heel, but it didn't happen. So both Wesley and Tyler Bate, they embrace. Who really cares? So Trick Williams, he is shown walking backstage by himself. So we come back from commercial. We get a really cool vignette from Isla Dawn and Alba Fyre. They said that they are ready for one last night on NXT. And they plan to put the fire that is Katana Chance. They plan to put out the fire that is Katana Chance. KC Square, basically. And then take the titles to Smackdown. Which is kind of cool. So, yeah. And you know what I was thinking, too? If they're still going to do the Alexa Bliss spooky character, put her on SmackDown. I think that would be tremendous. You put her on SmackDown, and you can kind of have like a little dark trio of Alba Fyre, Isla Dawn, and Alexa Bliss. I think that would be cool. I think that would be kind of cool. That really would be cool. Because if they're going to still push these little trios, that'd be kind of interesting. I don't know. It's just something that I'm thinking out loud about for the most part, but that could be interesting. It really could. As long as they don't overdo it. Like if we don't, as long as we don't do too much over the top supernatural stuff, I'm okay with it. But if they want to put Alexa with Isla Dawn and Alba Fyre, I'm all for it. Actually, believe it or not, that's actually what I would do. I much rather would have Bray solo. That's really what I would do. Moving on. So, Trick Williams, he's up next. He's got a mic. So he mentions how Bron Breakker put Carmelo Hayes in the hospital, but he knows Melo is a fighter and will bounce back. Trick says he took Bron's spear last week, saving Melo, and he will do it again without thinking. He goes on and says while Melo doesn't miss, if he does, Trick has the rebound, which is why at NXT Battleground, and then Bron Breakker comes out. So Bron Breakker says that Trick must be the tougher one, as he took the spear and the recliner last week. Bron says the last thing he wants to do is ever represent the fans again. He goes on talking about taking the title from Carmelo and having the chance to embarrass Carmelo in front of his friends and family at NXT Battleground. They have a couple more choice words. Then Bron leaves. So Trick, he proposes a fight. Trick threatens to knock Bron's tan off until he's black and blue. That was funny. Trick was mega over in this segment right here. Bron says it doesn't matter what the fans want or what Trick wants. He's calling the shots now. Bron says next week it'll be a Battleground preview when he breaks Trick in half. And then Bron and Trick stare each other down, and that was the end of the segment. So I like this. Trick is massively over. And Trick is somebody who has potential. He's had it since day one. Since NXT became NXT 2.0, and we saw him then, I knew Trick was, going to be a star. And I do think whenever Melo is called to the main roster, Trick Williams is going to be just fine. I think that they're going to eventually, in due time, strap the rocket to Trick Williams because Trick is that damn good, and he's a hell of a talent. He really is. So this was a great little segment right here. Like, I could definitely see Trick being an NXT champion. I'm not going to hold you guys up. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I could damn sure see Trick Williams being champion. Trick Williams has the look. I think he's, 6'4", 6'5". He's like I think he's between 210 and 215. So, I mean, dude, he looks phenomenal. He looks in phenomenal shape. And he's 24? So the sky's the limit for this guy. The sky is the limit for Trick Williams. And he wrestles like a safe style anyway. So I could damn sure see him being NXT champion one day. I could damn sure see it. Moving on. Mackenzie Mitchell, she's backstage with JD Mcdonagh. She is congratulating him on going to Raw. JD says he waited 21 years to go to Raw. So yes, he's bringing a big chip on his shoulder with him. And when he said that, I was like, what the hell? No, dude, you spent basically 15 years, probably maybe 17 years on the indies. And he spent the last 4 in WWE. Maybe the last 5. So I take that back. JD McDonough's been with WWE, I want to say 5 years, maybe even 6 years. So yeah, because he was in NXT for a minute. So, but that is absolutely insane, though. Damn. That's insane. So, JD he's got to be mid-30s. He has to be mid-30s. Has to be. Damn. That's insane. So, Noam Dar, he interrupts. He has his NXT Heritage Cup with him. So, Dar, he asked for a favor. For old time's sake, he wants JD to hurt Jack and Lee tonight. So Lee stays away from his cup. And then he asks for a deal. JD says, that's slimy. That's slimy. And all he knows, Dar cares about is his cup. Which is why he never gave JD a shot. JD advises Dar to stay away from him. Because if he pisses JD off, JD will take the cup with him to Raw. So JD walks off. This is fine, but then again, the only way that JD McDonagh makes it on the main roster is if he is aligned with Judgment Day. And I've heard a lot of people talk about this from the IWC and YWC, and they make a good point. I do think that if they put JD McDonagh in the Judgment Day, that'll be fine with me because it actually makes the most sense. He's one of Balor's students. Balor trained JD. So that does make perfect sense. And that's really the only way that he'll make it. And it just makes sense to me. Next, we have Gigi Dolan versus Jacy Jayne. So her brother, Miles, he's in the crowd. He looks like he's probably maybe mid-20s. I'd say about 24, 25. No, because Miles, he's actually 11 years younger. So JC, no, not JC. Gigi is, she's got to be in her 30s, like early 30s, like 31, 32. So yeah, Miles will be in his early 20s. Okay, that's not bad. So, Jacy Jayne gets the win here. And I believe it was the elbow from Gigi that busted up on Jacy Jayne. So that's kind of how she bled, I would imagine, because that elbow must have been real stiff because she got busted up in the hard way. Like, it was blood everywhere. And that wasn't the only blood spot of the night, too. So, post-match, Jacy Jayne taunts Gigi Dolan. So she makes fun of her brother. Then Jacy Jayne throws Gigi into the steel steps. And then she does a massive spin kick to Gigi. And then the officials, they pull her apart. And then Jacy Jayne, she blows a kiss to Miles. So officials are, telling her to go to the back. So I like this. This is okay. This to me means that it's not over. You can still milk this match up until NXT Battleground. And now that this has happened, I would maybe have a stipulation involved. Maybe like a last woman standing match, or possibly a steel cage or something like that, or no DQ match. Just something to up the ante and to up the stakes. So the only thing I was mad about was that her brother didn't get involved. For whatever reason, I have no idea why they didn't have him get involved. I guess because he's not a wrestler, so it makes sense. Because he didn't look like he was a wrestler at all. He looked like he was just like a regular guy. So I guess that kind of makes sense, I guess. I don't know. Moving on. Oh, God. This match was a bore. Axiom versus Scrypts. Axiom wins. Post-match, Axiom attempts to shake the hand of Scrypts. And then the two, they brawl a little bit more. And then Axiom drops Scrypts. He rips off the mask. And the fans start chanting Reggie. Like, we all knew it was Reggie from the start. And it was funny how they played it up on commentary, like Booker T and Big Joseph. But we all knew that Scrypts was Reggie from the start. We all knew. This, to me, was a waste of time. Shawn Michaels needs to go back to the drawing board here. Have Reggie just be the... Have Reggie have a character change of some sort. I don't know what they're going to do with Reggie. I don't know. Maybe you could do Axiom and Reggie as a tag team. I don't know. Scrap this whole Axiom gimmick too. Do something else with A-Kid. This has been a failure of an experiment. Axiom ain't over. This ain't it. We all know it's A-Kid in a mask, but this ain't it. Nah, this ain't it at all. Moving on. So Fallon Henley, Briggs and Jensen, they're backstage. Well, actually, they're in the family bar. It's called Big Daddy's. I got a little kick out of that. So Briggs and Jensen, they're back on the same page after what happened last week. Fallon says it's good to have everything back to the way it was. Jensen said it sure does feel good. Jensen says he did learn a few business things from Kiana James. He explains how valuable the land on the bar is, and how Fallon's family could take advantage and be set for life. So that does make sense. So both Briggs and Fallon Henley, they're impressed. So two random women, they walk up and ask if Jensen asked Jensen if he'd like to have a drink, but he declines the offer, catching up with his friends. But he hopes that they have a good night. So Fallon and Briggs are surprised, commenting on how it looks like their little brother did grow up. So it makes sense. This makes sense that he realized that he got played. He's not going to take the chance again. Okay. That's good. But where do we go now with the story? Like, how much land? I don't know. This is interesting, but this has been going on for well over a year now, and I don't know how we end this story. I don't. I can't even think of anything. And I already know that those girls were probably sent by Kiana to kind of lure back Jensen. Who knows? They might do the same thing next week and try to get Briggs. Moving on. Match of the night, in my opinion. Dragon Lee versus JD Mcdonagh. This went about maybe 15 to 20 minutes. This was a really solid match here. Bunch of false finishes and everything. In the end, Noam Dar gets involved, and JD hits the Devil Inside for the 1, 2, 3. But this match was solid. So people love this match. This was great. I figured JD was going to win anyway. Dragon Lee, I like him a lot. I do, but he can't win. He can't win for anything right now. And I'm hoping that they decide to push him. Now that NXT has lost a good bit of talent, hopefully they can push him. I don't know. I'm guessing it would have been better for Dragon Lee to debut at Stand and Deliver, I guess. I don't know. But I'm hoping that Dragon Lee can get some momentum, get some decent wins under his belt, and become a champion. And, hopefully dethrone Wesley. I don't know, man. That mid-card is going to look a lot better now that JD and a lot of other guys are gone. So KC Squared, they're backstage. They're confident about going out on a high note for their last night in NXT. And plan to regain the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. They talk about this being the first time a Raw team has ever faced a Smackdown team for NXT titles, and how they're a real team compared to Isla Dawn and Alba Fyre. This is where they started, and this is where they became friends, so they got this. And then they decided to end the segment on a hug. So Carter, she basically didn't want a hug, so makes sense. Moving on. So the Schism, they're backstage watching tape of Joe Coffey. Joe Gacy says Coffey is impressive, but tonight he'll give his own body for the Schism, taking pain and punishment for their greater good. The Dyad says Gacy's sacrifice will not be in vain. As he does this for them, they will dominate Gallus to bring the NXT titles to Schism. 4 roots, 1 tree. They put on their mask and walk off. So Ava Raine, she stops Joe Gacy and tells him to do this for the Dyad, but then do something for himself. Again, I do suspect Joe Gacy to probably go after the NXT North American Championship. That would make the most sense. Again, he doesn't need to be in the main title picture for quite some time. So then we get the battle of the Joes. Coffey versus Gacy. Gacy gets to win because towards the end of the match, Ava Raine, he gets involved. They pull Eddie Guerrero, which a lot of people have been doing that for a couple of weeks now. A lot of people have been doing that. Gacy wins via the Upside Down for the 1, 2, 3. So Schism, they stand tall post-match. Ivy now, she's backstage watching with the Creeds, and she says that she's had enough of Ava always interfering, and Ivy now storms off. I guess apparently to find Ava. So then we see Dami Palmer backstage on a video call with Soruka. She thanks Soruka for designing her ring gear and dedicates tonight's match to her. Hank Walker and Tank Ledger, they show up and they're fired up for Palmer's debut. They tell her to do her thing and she heads out. So Oba Femi, he appears and he just stares a hole into both Tank and Hank. They invite him to sit to watch Palmer's debut. He just sits. He just stares ahead and just walks off. So I like this. I'm guessing they're gonna go with Hank and Tank as a tag team. Kind of makes sense. Moving on, Eddie Thorpe, aka Carl Fredericks, he's at the Performance Center talking about how he's working on different skills. He needs to work on his promo skills. That's one thing he needs to do. He's okay as a wrestler. He's got that part down. So Damon Kemp, he walks up and tells Eddie Thorpe to throw his trash away. It's a water bottle since he's a new guy. They have some words, and Kemp says Thorpe can't hang in the ring. So Eddie Thorpe will take that as a bet. And Damon Kemp says he likes Thorpe, so don't make him put an end to the hype before it starts, young boy. So Thorpe isn't impressed as Damon Kemp walks off, and he used to be calling a young boy in his New Japan days. Again, Eddie Thorpe is fine, but he ain't over like that. He's not. To me, I think that Eddie Thorpe would have been better probably under a mask. I don't know. I really don't know, man. So next, we get the debut of Danny Palmer versus Tatum Paxley. So yes, Tatum Paxley's still here. So Danny Palmer gets the win via the frog splash. And she better be careful doing that in the long term. Again, she's going to have bad knees. She's going to be the female Tanahashi. She don't need to be doing stuff like that. That's not good. Again, I think Danny Palmer is probably in her early 20s. So it's fine now. But when she hits like 35, 36, 37, she's going to wish she never did stuff like that. Again, don't do stuff like that. They already need to change her finisher. Because that's what, I think Lyra Valkyria had the frog splash, but then she changed it to the a roundhouse kick. I don't know. Maybe give her a DDT or something like that. I don't know. Or a neck breaker, something. I don't know. But people have got to start thinking about their careers long term. Don't do these necessary spots. Like the way she did it for the frog splash was insane. It's not good. She will have bad knees later on in life. So, we get a Taste You segment. So Thea Hale, she's nervous that Andre Chase is late. But he then sends a message that class is canceled because of what happened last week with Bron Breakker. Duke Hudson says there's no reason that they should fall behind in the curriculum. So he goes in front of the class for a lesson on the WWE draft. One student asks if this means no pop quiz this week. Duke tells everyone to hold up their papers and then rip them up. Duke says no more pop quizzes. And in Taste You, Duke says, quote unquote, Duke University has a nice ring to it. And as the segment ends, okay, they need not do that. We know that Duke University is a real university. It would have been better if he would have said the University of Duke Hudson. I don't know. Or this is going to be my school. I don't know. So, this is interesting. Who cares, though? Next, Von Wagner. He's backstage with Mr. Stone looking at a photo album. Von talks about his dad, Bo Beverly, a.k.a. Wayne Bloom, wrestling at WWE SummerSlam years ago. Stone asked about a photo of a young Von, but he doesn't want to discuss it. Stone says Von is a free agent now. he can go to Raw or SmackDown. But Von doesn't want to talk about a photo that shows him with stitches on his head as a baby. So that's interesting. Again, Von Wagner should still be in NXT for a while. I don't think he's ready for the main roster. I think he would be better suited for, I want to say, a heavy for The Miz if he goes to the main roster. It would make the most sense. Miz could get him more over than Robert Stone ever could. The main event, KC Squared versus Isla Dawn and Alba Fyre for the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. Alba Fyre and Isla Dawn win. And I think Isla Dawn got busted up in this match. So I'm guessing the NXT titles are going to go to SmackDown, I guess. I don't know. Next, stupid Jack, he's backstage. So he addresses Ilya Dragunov and says that he gave Dragunov a fair warning, but now look at him. So we then see the attack from last week. So Jack says Ilya has now been smashed. Has a smashed rib cage and so on. So Jack says Ilya didn't seem like a dragon when he was trapped under that garbage door last week, gasping for air. Jack goes on and says Ilya was helpless, but he has left a small piece of Ilya for next week, and that's when he'll finally break Dragunov for good. Main event, or the closing segment of the show. Well, actually, no, not yet. It's not over yet. So, Trick, he's heading to the parking lot. Thankfully, he didn't get hurt. So he was finishing up a phone call. In comes Apollo Crews. He walks up, and Trick congratulates him on the call-up. Crews tells Trick to challenge Bron Breakker. Crews says that he saw the Trick challenge Bron Breakker and says that that's commendable. Crews says he sees a lot in Trick and thinks he can take this place over. Crews knows Carmelo Hayes has a spotlight he deserves, but Trick is definitely a superstar. And others in the locker room wish they had Trick's. Others in the locker room wish they had the gifts Trick has. Crews tells Trick to stay true to himself, keep grinding, and next year it'll be his name being called up in the WWE draft. Trick thanks him, and then they have a show of respect. So I like this. It's pretty cool. I do like it a lot. And I do think that Trick is going to get a mega push. Moving on. Final segment. So Indi Hartwell, so she has crutches on. Indi talks about coming to WWE as a fresh 23-year-old, as a fan of the black and gold era. So she's been there about, 4 and a half years? Because she came in, 2019? So, yeah, 4.5 years. No one ever thought she would achieve this goal. They counted her out until she found the way. She formed a bond, not only with the way, but with the fans. She goes on about her title win. She says people talk about wrestling. Talk about wanting to be a fighting champion, but you don't always get that chance. She was in the trainer's room last week, taken out of the triple threat, but she said, hell no. Her title run was not going to end on a medical table. So she went back out there with the best two in the division. Indi says come Friday, when she got drafted to Raw, she thanks the fans, and she says she still can't believe it. Indi announces that there's going to be a tournament to crown a new NXT Women's Champion. It'll begin next week, and it'll conclude at NXT Battleground. Indi wishes everyone good luck. And then Indi says she's got one more thing to say. A quote that she lives by: don't cry because it's over, smile because it happens. So Indi looks down at the title, the fans cheer her on, she kisses the belt, lays it down in the middle of the ring. Indi jokes that she has to figure out how she's going to get out of here. So we see Dexter Lumis come in from under the ring, and he gets a massive pop. He lifts up Indi, and then Indi gives everybody a big thumbs up and dips out. So we now see the NXT camera focus on the NXT Women's title. So Tiffany Stratton, she appears along with Cora Jade, and then Lyra Valkyria. Everyone starts to brawl. So we see everybody. It's a bunch of women in there, from Thea Hale, Tatum Paxley, Daisy Jane. Everybody's in there. It's like 8 or 9 women in there, and that's how we go off the air. So that was fine, I guess. We knew it was going to happen anyway. Indi Hartwell being on the main roster sucks. It sucks. She should have been on the main roster like 2 years ago, if we're being honest. If we're being honest, actually no, if we're being honest, Indi Hartwell should have been on the main roster last year. Let's just be honest. I didn't see Roxanne Perez in this, so I assume she's going to probably be in the tournament finals, I guess. I don't know. But this is okay. What did you guys think? The show was okay, in my opinion. It could have been better, though. What did y'all think? Please hit the like button, comment down below, and subscribe for more videos. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.